Hey everyone, welcome back to And Sometimes Why, and today I'm going to be talking about Dean Oliver's Four Factors.
If you like that intro, don't forget to like and subscribe. I put a lot of work into that intro. It took almost a minute of filming that I'll never get back in my life. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new and enjoy the video.
Dean Oliver's Four Factors are a concept in basketball analytics that basically just tell you when a possession can end and how it can end. And there's four ways that a possession can end in basketball. First way a possession ends: you made the shot. Good job. You just got points. Points good. The second way a possession can end: turnover. You just gave the ball away to the other team. 0 points. Bad. Offensive rebound, where you miss the shot, but you get the rebound. You have a new possession now. You have another chance to score points. Good. And the last way is you get fouled, and now you're going to the free throw line. This is usually very good because people are very good at free throw shooting in the NBA, for the most part. The basis of what Dean Oliver's Four Factors is trying to do is it's trying to measure each of those four things. And you can do that on the player level, you can do that on the team level, and you can do that on a per possession level, which is what a lot of people end up doing because that's a way to standardize it and every team is under the same conditions, give or take. It sounds really simple, which to an extent in the world of basketball statistics and advanced stuff and stuff like that kind of is, but it's very, very powerful because it can explain almost 99%, I think actually over 99% of what goes on in a basketball game because it's literally the four ways a possession can end, and then that will tell you how good a team is. How well do they do this thing other relative to other teams? How well does this player shoot? How well does this player rebound? Things like that. Player level, team level, game level, per 100 possession level over a season. And you can do that offensively or defensively. So you can understand a lot about a player or a team based on Dean Oliver's Four Factors. And now I'm going to go in and I'm going to break down each one of them individually, how they're measured and why they're measured that way. All right, let's go back to the first one. You made the shot. Good job. So that is measured using something called effective field goal percentage. If you don't know what that is, it's basically field goal percentage. I'll put the formula right. Yeah, I'll put it on this side, I guess. And what it does is it takes into account the value of threes, as threes worth more than two. So a player is more efficient if their shot was worth 3 points versus 2 points. So that's basically what it's trying to capture. And you can do that on the player level, you can do that on the team level, and this can be measured: how well is the team shooting? How well is this player shooting? How well is this team defending? What is the effective field goal percentage of teams that go against this team? All right, let's go to number 2. You turn the ball over. Bad. 0 points. That is measured by something called turnover percentage. And I'm going to put the formula on this side because it'll probably be easier to see. It's a little complicated. It has to do with basically how many turnovers a team gets. Basically like a rate. And the .475 was, pretty sure it was an estimate. It's not really completely 100% the truth, but it's an estimate that worked really well when creating the metric. So what you can get from this is how much does this player turn the ball over, but it's not even specifically how much does this player turn the ball over. It's how much does the team turn the ball over when this player's on the court. Or just specifically for a team, how much does this team turn the ball over compared to this team? How much does this team force turnovers? How much does this team force turnovers when this player is on the court versus when they're not on the court? And a lot of questions like that can get answered that are really cool. Part 3, you missed the shot, but you got the rebound. So that's called offensive rebound percentage. And I'll put that formula here. There's a couple different ways to measure it, but what it measures is how many, out of how many missed shots, how many of them did we get the offensive rebound as a team? Or with this player on the court, how much did we offensive rebound? How much better compared to when they were off the court? Or how well does this opposing team that we're going against get offensive rebounds? Should we game plan differently because of that? I think one of the best examples I could think of off the top of my head is someone like Steven Adams. He's always somebody that has a very high offensive rebound percentage. He's not even usually the one that has the most rebounds per game, but at the end of the day, whether you get the rebound or not doesn't matter. What really matters is whether or not your team gets the rebound. And that's what offensive rebound percentage can capture on the player level or on the team level. Last one, you got fouled. You're at the free throw line. You guys know the drill by now. That's measured by something called free throw rate. And what that tells you is how many free throws are you making? How often are you getting to the free throw line? How efficient are you with those opportunities compared to other teams? So you could do this at the player level. It doesn't even have to be, I'll drill this into you guys, it doesn't even have to be that specific player at the free throw line. It could just be when this player is on the court, what is the team's free throw rate? What is the opposing team's free throw rate when we have this player on the court? What is our free throw rate? Is that something we need to get better at as a team? Does this specific player need to have a higher free throw rate? Things like that can get answered with free throw rate. So I totally forgot to mention this the first time I recorded this video, but not all of the 4 factors are created equal. What I mean by this is that Dean Oliver hypothesized that different factors explained more or less of the game of basketball. So he hypothesized that shooting explained 40%, turnovers explained 25%, rebounding explains 20%, and free throws explains 15%. And intuitively, if you're a basketball fan, this makes sense to you because a lot of basketball is just whether or not the shots go in or not. And if you add up shooting with free throws, that explains 55% of the game, according to Dean Oliver. And then another quarter of the game is whether or not you're giving the ball away or you're forcing turnovers. And another fifth of the game is how well you're rebounding compared to the other team. So I totally forgot to mention that, but back to the original video. So the last thing you guys might be wondering is, how does this even happen? How do you get this information? And at least back then, the way it was done is through play-by-play data, especially on the player level. You could say this player was on the court based on the play-by-play, and you could say this was the offensive rebound percentage for that team when this player was on the court. Nowadays, there's tracking data and there's pose data, and that's all really cool, but way too complicated for what we're doing right now. I think the important part of this is getting how such a simple technique, such a simple statistic can tell us so much about the game of basketball in just 4 numbers. You can learn more about Dean Oliver's 4 factors in this book, Basketball on Paper. by Dean Oliver. Shout out to Dean Oliver. I've read a little bit of this book, but I stopped because I got this one, which is a more modern version of the original book where he goes into some of the stuff that's changed. And it's really not that mathy if you're interested in basketball and maybe even just a little bit in analytics. It's a really good read so far. And shout out Dean Oliver, and I hope you guys learned something today. See ya.